There's a story that the devas, the denizens of the upper planetary systems, were holding a jugga like this. And as you were all doing, swaha, actually this way, swaha, and not all the grains make it into the fire. So there was a little bird, and the bird was picking up the little grains that had been sprinkled around the fire jugga, around the juggasthala, the arena. And as he was doing that, now there's demigods mean the head of the sun planet, Surya was there, Vayu, the wind, Indra for the rain, they're all assembled there. There's also Yamaraj, who is in charge, he's the Lord of Death. Everything's well organized by Krishna's arrangement, there's someone in charge of everything. So this little bird getting the grain noticed that Yamaraj kept looking at him. And you can imagine if the Lord of Death kept looking at you, it's a little unnerving. So the little bird, he saw Garuda. Now I'm assuming this is a mostly in-house audience, but Garuda is the Lord Vishnu's carrier. He's half man, half eagle. So I'm very, powerful. And when he flaps his wings, all the Vedas emanate so many things. So the little bird went to Garuda, his brother bird, and said, Yamaraj is giving me the evil eye, what do I do? So Garuda said, what do you want? So the little bird said, you fly me to Mount Sumeru, which is so many, thousands of miles away, and you drop me off at the top, Yamaraj will never know I'm there. So the little bird got on Garuda's back, whoosh, whoosh, Garuda took off, dropped him off, and came back. And by the time he got back, they were serving a nice feast, nice Krishna prasad. So Yamaraj was sitting next to Garuda. You know how everyone's all lined up, just like we lined up, so all the devas were all lined up taking prasad. So Garuda said, why were you bothering this little bird? You kept giving this little bird the evil eye. What was the problem? Garuda said, well, I know I wasn't trying to trouble him, but I was just curious that he was here at the fire. Sit. Yeah, thank you. There's usually a circus, her and I. It's a regular thing. So Garuda asked, why are you bothering the little bird? And Yamaraj said, well, I was just so surprised to see him here at the Jugga because I have an appointment with him this afternoon on the top of Mount Sumeru. And I was wondering, how is he going to get there? So, nice shot. The purport is, or the gist of the story is that we all think we're in charge of this and that, and with all of our big plans, we can outsmart our destiny and our time of death. But no, we are highly controlled. Acha, and so it starts. He's got a friend. Let's see if we can get him going in stereo. Yes. I raised 2 kids. It's not easy. No, for them to have to sit silently is like torture, Anyway, we have only a short period of time because I think we also have a play today. Isn't there a short skit by our monks? But let me ask you this, and thank you all for coming, but why? I mean, who cares? Bhagavad Gita spoken thousands of years ago, what's it got to do with us? And why should I sponsor Gitas? What's the benefit? Better I gave my money to a food relief program or some, save the whales, save the dogs, they don't say save the cows and be vegetarian. That's a whole other issue, but save the marmots, the ferrets, that's all well and good. So why Why? What does it matter, and why should I sponsor Gitas? Who benefits? So I wanted to just say a few things. In that, I mean, we have our eye camps, we have our Bhaktivedanta Hospital, we have our Food for Life. So, I'm not deprecating those things, but why sponsor and distribute Bhagavad Gita? So one time Prabhupada was asked, that I was sitting there, that Bhagavad Gita, it's antiquated, it's thousands of years old, what's it got to do with modern times and the issues of the day? And Prabhupada said, what's changed? Birth, death, disease, old age, lust, anger, greed, envy. What's changed? Just like you can say math, 2 plus 2 is 4, or the decimal system, or algebra, or axiomatic. They're axiomatic truths. They're universal. They're 2 plus 2. Of course, I haven't taken. Maybe they got a new idea at MIT now, but basically 2 plus 2 is 4. And it's an eternal principle. Or Prabhupada used to say there's not Indian gold, or Russian gold, or Chinese gold. Gold is gold. So, or the law of gravity. It's not that the law of gravity, and by this I mean not the mental state of gravity, I mean the physical state of gravity, that which holds everything together or down. It's not that there's American gravity and then there's Indian gravity. Everything in India is floating around, but when you come back to America, it settles down. Of course, India is a circus at every moment. But they're universal principles. So what Krishna's talking about in Bhagavad Gita, it addresses the universal human condition. The issues that are ultimately on everyone's mind. Somebody was telling me I'm suffering from heartburn. Not me, but the person was saying they suffer from heartburn. And I was thinking, actually, everybody's suffering from heartburn. The heart is burning with lust and greed and anger and envy and disappointment. So everyone's suffering. So how to, they have this saying that you can feed a man for a day and that's a good thing. But if you teach him how to farm, he can feed himself for life. So, or they say, in ecology, there's end-of-pipe solutions, and then there's ones that go to the source. I have a plant that's polluting, let's suppose. Okay, I can, just before it all gets dumped into the river, into the ocean, I can have a filtration system there. That's end-of-pipe solution. But what's more economic, more efficient, and better? To solve it at the factory itself, or to not even generate it. It's best not even to generate or solve it on site, rather than at the end of the pipe. In a similar way, we're all suffering from so many different things. And why? Why not find out the cause? Well, this was caused by this was caused by this. I was talking, it's a long story, one of our devotees, he's an expert manager, and one of his secrets is, he says, I always ask why 5 times, if it's a serious issue. Well, this happened. Well, why? A, B, C, D. Well, why did that happen? Well, and if you ask enough times, you actually go back and you find out what the real cause of the thing was. So what if we're all suffering from heartburn, and if we're honest, everybody's got, as they say in Italy, a rock in their shoe. There's, you're trying to walk and there's something going on, big thing, small thing, but there's always something. And ultimately, frankly, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade in the holiday season, but there's birth, death, old age, and disease. That's the big 4. So, what to do about those? Let's go to the source of the problems, the source of the heartburn. And those are universal issues. And that's what Bhagavad Gita distributes, or addresses. Now, I'll say a little more about that in a second, but I wanted to ask you a few questions. These are just some examples from Bhagavad Gita. And I'm going to ask you, and you can tell me, and don't worry, if you get the wrong answer, you'll still get prasadam, we'll still serve the feast, we'll still be friends, don't worry. So it's just say whatever you think. So Krishna compares the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita to several things in the Gita itself, in different verses. So one of the things that the Gita is compared to is a boat. Now, why is Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge, the wisdom, the insights found in Bhagavad Gita, compared to a boat? It's like the Titanic? What kind of boat? I know Dravida knows, but let's let some other folks have some fun.
A boat is like a body.
A boat is like a body. So how is it like wisdom?
It helps us to get out of the cycle of birth and death and change this back to body.
Well, that's quite elaborate. A boat carries us across. I mean, there was some lady who swam the English Channel just recently. I think was one of the first women to do it, you know. She'd come back as a seal or a dolphin in her next life and be able to swim anywhere she wants. So that's another issue. So, but you can't swim across the Atlantic Ocean. Has anyone swum across the Atlantic Ocean? I don't know, but they'd be a little weathered for the experience. So if you want to cross, what to speak if there's sharks and piranha fish and crocodiles, and you want to be in a boat, isn't it? So a boat helps us cross over a dangerous situation. And if we're honest, this world is why do people crane their neck and look at a car accident? When there's a big accident on the car, because in the core of their heart they're thinking, there but by the grace of God go I. Dodge that bullet, thank heaven. Jeez, that looks horrible. Glad it's not me and nobody I know. So the fact that, anyway, I got to think of the time factor. So the knowledge, wisdom found in Bhagavad Gita is like a boat that helps us cross over the ocean of birth and death, the ocean of difficulties. This world actually is an ocean of difficulties. I mean, you talked, especially if you get older, you ask, I was at the supermarket, grocery store, whatever you call it, the other day, and the cashiers, your name comes up. So they're trained to say, and how are you, Mr. Jones, or how are you, Mrs. Smith? And we all know what you say culturally. Oh, I'm fine, fine, fine. Everything's great. Couldn't be better. But this lady actually opened up. There was two people in front of me, and she said, well, to tell you the truth, I'm having a rough time. And she started just like vent with all of her issues, you know. And then the cashier went off. He said, well, let me tell you about and everybody in the line started going off, and it was like, come on, man. I was getting some limes for bathing the deities. I said, wrap it up. I got to get back to the temple, So I jumped over to the express line. They were still there when I left. But when you think about it, I mean, it's an ocean of issues. So the knowledge, the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita helps us cross over that ocean. All right. So why is the wisdom found in Bhagavad Gita like a fire? Now, you need a little Vedic understanding for this. Oh, that's a good one. I hadn't thought of that. It purifies. If you want to purify something, you put it in fire. Very good. What does fire also do if I put fuel in it? Burns it to ashes, right? So we are all suffering. I mean, people think, oh, well, that's esoteric, and you believe in the law of karma. Well, if you believe in it, it's true, but I don't believe in it. If you walk off a cliff, does gravity work? Well, I don't believe in gravity. Like in the cartoon movies, if you don't look down, when they go, then he falls. So if I don't believe it, it doesn't affect me. Why? There's laws of physics, bodies in motion. So anything, I mean, we are also bodies in motion. We're moving through time and space. There's physical laws that affect us. Regulate it. There's also karmic laws. As you sow it, so shall you reap. There are laws of karma. So each of us is carrying a great weight of karma. But when we surrender to Krishna, when we act in knowledge, that karma is like fuel. The weight of that is burnt to ash. So knowledge burns karma to ash. So that's another. So it's like a boat. It's like fire. Why is knowledge, the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, like a sword? Who said that? Cuts. Very good, young man. Cuts. Like a machete. If you're trying to chop through a jungle, this material world, Krishna compares to a banyan forest. Have you ever seen a banyan tree? Anyone seen I think we have a banyan tree at Balboa Park. But anyway, so many roots are going down, so many roots are going up. They say that there was a banyan forest, that Alexander the Great's army was able to shelter under a banyan forest. It just creates a canopy. And if you try to get through the Amazon jungle or a banyan forest, or you need to hack through it. You can cut a path through all of that. So through the entanglement and bewilderment and complexity of this world, the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita is like a sword. It cuts through all of that. Also, what else can I do with a sword? What else is a sword handy? If I'm in here's a big hint. If I'm in a dangerous place and I'm being attacked, it protects, it defends yourself, it protects you. So wisdom actually protects us. They say that, a child's weapon is innocence. A little child, they're running through and they break something. What can you do? It's a little kid, 2, 3 years, 5 years old, after a certain... their innocence protects them. Well, he's a kid. What can you do? All right, forgive him. And they say, not to be gender specific, but I've seen it utilized quite efficiently, a woman's weapon is tears. Especially you see the husband and the wife cries, and all right, whatever, okay, fine. A man cries and they say, man up, So on one hand, a woman's weapon is tears. So a child's weapon is innocence. An old man, I can't cry. I may feel like it, but I can't cry. It's not going to do me much good. I can't claim innocence. I can't physically defend myself. But it said that wisdom is the weapon of an old man. So a child is innocence, a woman is tears, and an old man old woman is knowledge. So it's a sword that it defends us against the illusions of this world. It gives us a sense of shelter and protection, and a real sense, not just an illusory sense. Okay, so now why is Bhagavad Gita like the wisdom of the Gita like a lamp? Anyone know? Who said that? 10 points for you. It lights the way. When there's darkness, it's a dangerous city. You may fall in a pothole. Thieves and robbers come out at night. Isn't it one of the first things you do in what do they call it, preventive policing? You fix all the street lights. Definitely. Because people don't want to do something sinful in the light. It has a psychological effect. So it lights the way. It lights the path. It again removes, if I know where I'm walking, if the path is well lit, how do I feel? If it's a dark path, whoa. But if the path is well lit, how do I feel? I feel safe. I feel confident, isn't it? Hey, I know where to go. I just walk on the path. There's the lights. No problem. So if one has the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, one feels confident. One feels secure. One is certain how to traverse. And one last thing, and then we're going to take a few other examples and we'll be done. Why is the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita compared to shoes? Now, shoes usually are not a very clean thing. But in this analogy, anyone want to guess? Walking on the right path, but that's only, do you have shoes that give you direction? No, it's good. You're close. You're on the right path, no pun intended. Yes? Cushion, way to go, my friend. If we walk on a bare path, if we walk on a path barefooted, so many rocks, so many sticks, thorns, what is this? How well can you walk? But you put on shoes, what happens?
It makes you
You're cruising easily, no problem. So shoes help us walk on a path. So these shoes, the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, helps us walk on the path of life. So it's like a light, a lamp. It's like a sword, wisdom, spiritual wisdom found in Bhagavad Gita. It's like a lamp, sword. What have I forgotten? Shoes, boat, sword, so many. So these are the advantages of the Vedic knowledge. It's not the sentiment. It's not, well, okay, my grandmother believed it and, well, let it work for her. But it's permanent, transcendental knowledge. I'll give you another example, because we've got just a few minutes, from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gives an analogy. If one understands this analogy, so many problems are solved. People are completely in anxiety because I'm being disrespected. There's tension, based on color or gender or nationality. People are just, this is off the track, but it's fun. One of our senior monks, Indradumna Swami, he was giving initiation to a disciple in Russia. And the disciple was about the same age. And afterwards, they were talking, because Indradumna Swami was getting to know him and was talking with him. Turns out that the man had been in the Russian Air Force. Turns out that Indradumna Swami had been drafted into the army and was in the American Army. Turns out that Indradumna Swami was based in the northern part of South Vietnam. Turns out that his now disciple was a pilot of a MiG jet. He was flying over the northern part of Vietnam trying to bomb the American troops, and Indradumna Swami was there, it was a gunnery battery, and trying to shoot him down. So the disciple's shooting at the guru, and the guru's trying to bomb, But by the becoming Krishna conscious, they became best of friends. When Russia first opened up under Gorbachev, we have so many we had devotees, but it had to all be underground. And I was raised I was born 1952, and I was raised in the 60s. I was a kid in elementary school, and not for anybody's that age raised in America. But we were always worried about the Russians are coming. The Russians are coming, and we actually had what they call drop drills. Anybody? I don't know. You have to be my age to appreciate it. Yeah, you'd have to duck under your desk. Remember that? You duck under your. When you see the flash, duck under your desk. My brother said, hey, if you see the flash, you're dust. So that was a little unnerving, But anyway, we did these drop drills, and they would say, Russians are coming. Now, also in Russia, the Russians are coming, the Russians are coming. When the Soviet Union, it was called in those days, opened up, for the first time, a wave of devotees came from Russia to Mayapur, our world headquarters, the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they had an old-fashioned siren, the crank sirens, air raid sirens, and they used to crank it when Srila Prabhupada was coming up the road from Calcutta. When he got to a certain distance, they'd crank the siren, and the devotees all knew to come out and greet Srila Prabhupada. So I remember sitting, taking prasadam, in a beautiful veranda in Mayapur with a bunch of my fellow devotees, and they began cranking the siren. It was an air raid, whoa, whoa, just like when I was in the 60s, and the devotees started calling, the Russians are coming, the Russians are coming. But instead of ducking under my desk, or, what is it called, duck and cover, or whatever it was, we all stopped taking our prasadam, and we ran out to greet the devotees, Russian devotees, with a nice big kirtan. So we were the Americans, and the American eagle and the Russian bear, they were embracing over Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, seeing that because we have a common father, automatically we're brothers. So the point I'm trying to make, and I guess I'll end here on time as a change, the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita is profound. It is timeless. I want to give you one example, just one quick example. Just this one little line will save all of us from so much anxiety and grief and so much If we just realize this, it's just one line. How many verses in Bhagavad Gita? How many? 700. So just one verse, and there's 700. So it's like a transcendental treasure box of wisdom. Krishna says that lust burns like fire and is never satisfied. Lust means more, bigger, better, new. Dump this wife, get another wife. Dump that husband, get another husband. Dump this job. If only I had. You see, oh, I had a bigger car and new car, whatever. That burning desire within the heart. Lust. Now, Krishna says it burns like fire and is never satisfied. What's the takeaway from this? If I have a fire and I put fuel on it, does the fire burn it up, burp from digestion, say, thank you very much, and go out? Is that our experience? You offer nice mesquite, aged oak, put it on the fire. Does the fire say, thanks? Throw in a little sage for dessert, and I'm done. Does the fire say that? The more fuel you throw on the fire, what happens? The bigger the fire gets. Krishna is saying, if we realize that we're like a hamster on a wheel, the more you run, you keep running, but the view doesn't change. You realize that, wait a minute, I'm never going to satisfy this burning desire. So maybe I should learn to tolerate. Maybe I should learn to be satisfied with what I need. What does Gandhi say? There's enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. It's a great line. There's enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. If I realize that, wait a minute, I'm on an endless wheel here. That one line from Krishna, our life, we become peaceful, we stay within our budget, we can control our tongue. Immediately, so many problems are solved by understanding that one line. So our humble appeal, and if you think you've read Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said, my Guru Maharaj, the founder of the Harekrishna movement, said that Bhagavad Gita is like a jewel, like a faceted jewel. You turn it, and every way you turn it, it catches the light in a different way. I've been reading Bhagavad Gita for 48 years. Every time I open Bhagavad Gita, I see something new. So our humble appeal is, great. We've all come here, we're talking about Bhagavad Gita, all well and good. But take Bhagavad Gita home and read a little bit every day. 5 minutes a day. Like I say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Read, a verse a day will keep Maya or illusion away. Read 5 minutes Bhagavad Gita. And if you want to give the best gift, you want to give the gift that keeps on giving, not something they play with for 10 minutes and it's broken or they're bored or throw it away. Give someone Bhagavad Gita. They'll think, book. Nobody likes to get it. Well, not. Many people don't like to get books. But you give them Bhagavad Gita, that they gave it to me, I was look at it. People's lives change. So our humble appeal is, great, we're all here for this celebration. We chanted Bhagavad Gita, it's very auspicious. But also make a vow or a vrata. Let me read a little bit of Bhagavad Gita every day. And let me, if I want to really be a friend, give the gift that keeps on giving in the holiday gift season. Give someone a Bhagavad Gita. And they say, I wanted a video game. You say, read a little bit every day. You'll see. You'll thank me. In a month, you'll thank me. Okay, so we'll end there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.